Game number 1 starting right now with the handshake. Julius Schwarzkopf is opening. It is absolutely what the Rika player wants to have. There is just a small chance that the deck breaks because all you need is the genius Sunseed Lokai.
Once upon a time, there was a part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where if you drew a normal monster, you'd be in a really bad spot. But in this specific scenario, Julius does really want to see a normal monster. That's a Petal coming down here. Not too bad. Not the ideal normal summon you would like to see. No die either, but still a decent starter in its own right.
No response here from Lorenzo.
I gotta say, I love how stoic Lorenzo is. Like, he has just, his face is just completely focused.
I mean, for anybody who's been around in the game, he is from Milan, and he is a dear friend, or you could say he got a mentorship from Stefano Memoli, one of the OGs. And if you remember how Stefano Memoli used to play, he was exactly this stoic, so yeah.
I played versus Memoli in Prague 2016.
Yeah, so you know,
yes,
you know,
absolutely.
he doesn't give out any expression,
Easy 2-1 victory, just kind of
Okay.
and there's the Ash Blossom on the Rika Glamour, but there is, I think,
oh, we tributed anyway. Nice. Okay, so we get to trigger the Strenna, despite having the Ash there, so does get to special summon itself out the hand here. Now, do we have any way to keep extending?
The Princess.
Yeah, the Princess that was added is indeed still in the hand. We can overlay into the Strenna detached to recycle a card from the graveyard. Now, do we still have a way to keep playing after this? That's the question. 2 cards remaining from Julius here.
Let's see.
I have barely ever seen a Rika combo stopped by a single Ash Blossom. Is this maybe a first? Is Lorenzo's Ash Blossom just that powerful? Oh, we have the Con already, so that means we can set a spell or trap from the deck. We have already used Glamour, but we could maybe get a sheet.
Yeah, I think it would be quite a underwhelming opening to just end with Strenna and Sheet, but despite that, it would still be Hypertron plus the Steal and Tribute for cost effect. So even if we stop here, this isn't completely horrible.
No.
And of course the negate as well in the graveyard, with the Princess. So despite the Ash Blossom, Julius isn't in too bad of a situation here. Lorenzo with just a single Ash Blossom so far coming down.
But we also have to mention...
And that's a pass!
Ooh. Yeah, the issue is that to guarantee the Princess, you need to keep Rika on field. So basically, that's what he's doing.
I suppose you could tribute the Strenna and then use the Strenna to go into the Queen. Does that work?
Yeah.
Should work, yeah. So you should be able to always control a Rika here. Now the question is, how far can Lorenzo extend with the Unchained? We haven't seen it on stream too much this weekend, despite the fact that it is arguably one of the sort of decks to watch out for. Although it didn't make the highest top cut representation, did it?
That is true, but I think from top 32 on, it was definitely the most played one. I think with 4 contenders, whereas the second most played deck was Tier Limit with 2, and other decks with 2 as well, like the Wanderies.
What can I say? Tier Limit players just weren't milling correctly. That's kind of on their fault, right?
Yep, that is definitely also what happened in top 8, if I remember correctly. There were lots of talents in the graveyard. None of them were activated. However, Lorenzo is starting off with the tour guide from the underworld.
Shoutouts to tour guides. Gotta love to see that in any deck. Just saying.
Yeah, agreed. I do actually agree, and I think that is going to special summon out a Fiendish Rhino Warrior, as we are used to it by now. But I was gonna say earlier, Unchained is basically the best deck in the format right now.
Oof,
so
bold statement.
That's a very strange thing for you to say after witnessing a Guido.
That is true, but it is able to play through many interruptions or negates. So I think that this, I want to say, lackluster field that Julius put up could actually not be too strong.
This is really scary here. If we have a Shavara in hand by Lorenzo, we can actually dodge the steal here.
Yeah.
As the Con should be tributing this tour guide for cost. And yep, no, it resolves. All right, Rhino has been taken by the sheet here.
Yeah, I was thinking whether you would print it instead the tour guide. That was also a possibility on Julius' side, but
could be
maybe less risky.
Yeah, probably a little bit afraid of thrust. Maybe you want to leave that line to the last possible moment, potentially.
Fair.
So Lorenzo still has some options here.
Yeah. Usually you would set one, but still.
Prison does get you any Unchained card from your deck here, so you can go for Aruha as the extender. We could go for the trap if we already have her. Him, I think, Aruha.
Yeah.
They're twins.
Or you just summon it, run over the Rhino, and send Shavara to the graveyard.
It is your own Rhino, technically, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it is.
You search Archaea, attack over it, set a card, and then you get the pop effect, but you can also search for the Shavara. I wonder why that did not happen earlier. Maybe he just has enough to play and did not want to give this away. He wanted to bait out the ricochet on this.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I suppose if you reveal that you have Shavara to your opponent, they could choose to sheet at a different time. Okay, so, I mean, there really isn't a ton of ways to extend here other than setting. So, yep, here it comes. We do have the set after all, and the Shavara will be negated by the Princess. It remains in the hand, very important. A lot of negates typically will destroy. That's definitely not a card you want to be able to trigger in your opponent's hand with the Shavara. So we're negating by tributing our plant monster we control. The Strata then can climb up into the Queen or the Hypertron.
We are deciding on the Hypertron right here.
All right, do me a favor. Let me see this. Hyperiton.
Hypertron's fine.
I've been saying it wrong this whole time. Okay, I thought it was a machine, you know? What can I say?
Well, okay.
Get it, Tron? No?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got it.
I got it. You didn't need to explain it, but now, yeah. Fair enough.
All right, so getting the Italian card text of Hyperiton on the field here for Lorenzo to have a double check.
Because
oh, there's that thrust.
Wow. That is very strong.
All right,
a nice bait, I want to say, maybe.
Yeah, it was an incredible play because, you know, he forced the negation, and that if he would have allowed it, he would have just destroyed his own trust. That was a heads-up play by Lorenzo. Wow.
500 IQ, what can you say?
That's
Italians.
That is
Italians. Italians, that's what we do. Improvise.
That's some foresight right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Picks up a Talents, and do we force out the Hyperiton? Do we draw cards? Okay, we're forcing it out here. I mean, this is incredible if we go and attack over here. We can attack, Fiendish Rhino send Shavara, Shavara sets a card, and then maybe make a Zeus, I assume.
This is great.
I think people do typically play Zeus in their Unchained lists if they're running Talents.
Yep, there is a Zeus in the extra deck.
All right, okay.
Beautifully execution by Lorenzo nonetheless, and now, as mentioned, he gets to trigger this Rhino and is pretty much able to come back. To be fair, yeah.
If you go for a Zeus line, do you even want to set something here? Do you want to send Shavara, or do you want to maybe get something else? Or
there's a couple of things you can go for. So he does send Shavara to set a trap, but there's also the option of sending Sayama if he has another trap in the hand. He can actually continue playing. But it looks like we're going to go for the Chamber here.
He also knows at least one, because Akarinen is the Glamour, right? So
yeah, there's a Glamour in hand. I don't know if Unchained really has a way to deal with just a spell activation, especially with Concon. Concon very important to try and deal with at some point.
There he goes. So Zeus coming down from Lorenzo.
Now the question is, do we have anything else to follow up on here, or will it just be a Zeus? Now, wow, okay, that is just a pass back here, and in the end phase, Pedo comes back, will be a resource on Julius's first turn to be able to get a search here. And is the Princess... No, Princess shuffled itself back here. So I feel like you are potentially inclined to... I was going to say, maybe Zeus immediately was the play, right?
You needed to absolutely...
Yeah, but then it would also feel bad because you lose your escape. But I suppose, not the escape, sorry, the Chamber. The Chamber doesn't really bring anything back, though. There's nothing really super relevant.
You Chamber for the Shavara, and then you Zeus, so you can get the Shavara effect again and set an escape for next turn. Or for this turn, even so you use the Shavara from hand.
You are a genius.
I am.
That is a very good play, yeah. Now, despite Lorenzo actually playing this like super intelligently and the way that he bluffed with that thrust pop, for example, that was incredible, by the way. It looks like Julius might have a decent amount of gas left here to take this turn 3 into a powerful spot, especially with Petal just coming back every end phase.
Yep. This is why you give your opponent Lava Column, because then Petal does not come back.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yep. Let's have a quiz on the percentage of Lava Golems this weekend. Yeah. Just like we did.
And there we have it. Shavara is going to pop the Chamber that was still on the field, of course. And this is going to summon out another Unchained card from the deck. Are we going to summon out the Abomination to discard a card and pop one? Yeah.
This feels like a really heavy investment by Lorenzo.
Does he have anything in hand?
I hope he does.
I think he's got one card, right?
Doesn't look. Yeah, okay. Luckily
He's got, okay, he's got a Sarama and another thrust, it looks like.
And we are destroying the petal immediately.
You think Lorenzo maybe didn't play this turn out correctly, right? It just feels like with that con, it's really kind of caught him off guard.
Yeah.
I guess so, but the issue is if you then go for it in the previous turn, how do you still deal with this? Because you lose out on whatever play you had with the Unchained part of the deck, so I don't know. It doesn't seem like he had that great of an option. It looked probably better than it was actually was. He tried his best, but now, yeah. So many options available for Julius. Starting thing off here with the Tyrion part of the deck.
Yeah, we got Lilyboria sending itself to add a copy of the Discolosseum. Discolosseum can then get you a Regulus, then you have a Negate.
And you have dealt with the Concon.
Yeah, Lorenzo has mind-gamed Julius into summoning Lilyboria. Yeah, I think that's what happened, of course. Now, the issue is, like, plants kind of I feel like I want to say they struggle to deal with floating effects. But the Unchained... oh, okay. Big thrust here.
That thrust is going to hurt a lot to Lorenzo. I think you can just go for every card. You can take Talons, you can look at the hand, you can take a monster, you can, I mean...
Steal Abominable Soul, and that's going to be 3,000 easier damage to maintain.
Oh, that's a really direct way, but yeah, that works as well.
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't think Lorenzo has anything else in the hand, otherwise it probably would have been used as Julius was comboing unless we picked it up. That's a normal summon Loki.
There he goes.
The most dangerous normal monster in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!
It was shy in this game 1, but finally decided to show up, and now we'll be there. And I think
Lorenzo picks it up. Okay.
Wow.
That is the end of game 1 here. Lorenzo did a decent amount of effort to try and crack that field. He was really patient on his hand trap. I think he used it as optimally as he could. But despite that, the plant deck just sort of overwhelming, right?
Absolutely. The Trust Bluff might have been the play of the weekend. I think that's just a mere consolation prize whether he will lose this match. But for now, it's still early, and I think it's a good catch to just pick up your cards. We know that the Rika deck is able to win in time if he ever gets to that point, so might as well just save as much of the remaining as possible. And now he gets to go first, though, so no panicking. He needs to just take a look at his side deck, I guess. What do you think he has for this matchup?
Well, Lorenzo's probably not going to be putting in too much going first, although there is a copy of Mistaken Arrest. Now, that's a card we haven't seen in a while. I think I want to say since, like, Necro's format, although there's been a couple of iterations in the last few years. But it's a one-turn mistake, basically. It's just another version of Droll and Lockbird, which he is playing 3 copies. So, I mean, 6 ways to stop your plant opponent from searching. That's pretty good.
That is true, and also it is a bit better than Droll and Lockbird because you can actually use it before your opponent gets the Sunseed Sowing to the hand, which is a really, really strong card that just gets you 2 cards on the field immediately.
No, it is really strong, and I mean, it was a good read on all the Flowanderies and tier elements we've seen this weekend, so definitely an interesting decision, playing 6 copies essentially with the Droll.
And this is also a 2-turn Lockbird, by the way. It's until the end of next turn, which is really relevant for against Fluwanderies. Exactly, and another Italian player who is hard-siding against Fluwanderies.
I mean,
it's friendly fire.
You have to. You have to.
Absolutely.
So now, look, I mean, he did play against him. To be fair, we saw him, the match lined up so that he played against Flu. So it makes sense that he won. Now,
if you're in Rome, do as the Romans, right?
I guess.
Is that how the saying goes?
No, I'm not sure.
Not really. But what do you think? On the other hand, Julius, obviously against what was expected to be the most popular deck. What do you think he's gonna do with this Rika?
Going first with Rika, I think the deck is well positioned in a way that you want to just pull off your combo. I think is the most important thing.
Yeah.
We spoke about it in a different feature match earlier, but one of the coolest cards that he's running is Spiritual Water Art Aoi as a target for talents, which means it's a way to loop a card out your opponent's hand. And Naturia Rose Whip as well is very important, particularly against Unchained, which has a lot of power spells.
Or Sky Striker.
Yeah, although we are going to go second for this game, so he's probably going to first side in
of course.
Second cards.
Yeah, we're going to go second, so...
Lightning Storms, Pancratops, Book of Eclipse. Book of Eclipse not really the best card going second in this matchup, although you can Book of Eclipse the DD.
But
yeah, that's probably the most important one, true.
I'm pretty sure Julius knows better than us, and our duelists are ready. Let's go back to game 2 and find out the winner of the game.
All right, game number 2 here. Lorenzo faltering there, unfortunately, under the weight of a single Genius Loci as he gets to go first in this top 4 match and begin with the unchanged strategy. Will we see a humble little combo that respects Nibiru? Lots of different ways to play around that hand trap. I'm sure Lorenzo knows all of the different columns in the spreadsheet for the different unchained combos. And yeah, the DD monster, the Caesar. The rank.
Okay.
Wow.
No, okay.
Wow, this does not seem to be
nice.
Lorenzo's game, and the next worst thing that can happen is the Loci normal summon. It is unexpected die. Unexpected die. The crowd is cheering. This is going to special summon out the Loci, not even using the normal summon. If you have an Ash, you kind of have to throw it right here, right?
The set monster is not part of the spreadsheet, I think. So Lorenzo just not having anything to do, and he can't play.
Played around Nibiru. You wanted him to play around Nibiru.
Yeah, that is one way to do it, I suppose. But this is really unfortunate from Lorenzo. Let's see if we've got any other disruption. Droll and Lock
coming down.
Something.
At least some hope. Yeah.
Okay.
And Ash there. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Ash,
all right,
Droll. All right, do we have anything else? We're going to attack into the set monster.
Hey.
That's
Wow.
great because it triggers your own Dryas.
Yep,
Yeah.
so you get to special summon the healer out of the extra deck. Now, the question is, can we go further? I mean, not really. Like, it's hard to play under Droll and Lockboard with plants, honestly. Maybe if there's a way to climb up with the links into Bengal Lancer, potentially, but this is not really ideal. If this is all Julius has, then Lorenzo could be shaping up to be in a decent spot here. Dance Upon, okay, we're going to go for the Sylvan. Here we go, milling 3, 1 plant, and 2 plants from the Sylvan Dance Beyond here, hitting Madan. Wow, that's incredible. Unfortunately, Madan won't be able to add here, but we do have the Princess, which is a negate, so that's...
Good find.
Can it attribute itself from from the field? I assume so.
Princess, from your hand or GY?
Hand or graveyard, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
but still.
Not getting too ahead of ourselves here, but wow, incredible.
Worst case scenario, you can even go for adjustments line, right? So
Yeah, I mean, proving that Dante Mill 3 really is still just one of the greatest cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, here we are just special summoning 2 plants for free out of the top of the deck.
Did Dante do that as well?
Yeah, if you mill Graffin's here.
Oh, fair enough.
All right, was that a pass from Julius?
No,
I think he kind of pointed. No,
I just
okay.
asked how many cards were in the end, and they are two cards left
right.
for Lorenzo.
So still under Droll and Lockbird, remember? So I think Julius is just trying to navigate some sort of way to maybe end on like the Rika Queen or Strenna. Oh, Droplet, okay. Sending the Teardrop from the hand to negate the Sarama, and then using the... Oh, is there a bonus effect of the Dance Beyond? Oh, it copies the levels.
Okay.
Oh, okay, really neat. Wow. Yeah, Dante didn't do that, unfortunately. All right. Very good removal as well here. We're tributing monsters, which means that it won't be triggering the effect of Sarama to be destroyed in special summon. So removing the Sarama from the field here, and on top of that, getting the...
Princess.
Yeah, getting the Princess into the graveyard. Wow, Julius is just in such an incredible spot here. That's really unfortunate that Lorenzo just could not play like that. It looks like a pass back almost.
Yeah, we are not quite sure. We stopped the draw phase in its tracks. And now I think that Lorenzo has a triple tactic talents in his hand.
Yeah,
this might be...
Talents is, I mean, you need something to force your opponent to do something. So if we can't draw anything that actually helps us, you know, fulfill the activation requirement, then he's going to be kind of stuck here. I wonder what our judges are checking here. It won't be too long as we get back to the action here. But yeah, I think we're just clarifying some of the interactions so far. But yeah, in a really good spot so far, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And now, as we mentioned, our judges are just checking out the previous play, noticing if everything was corrected with a few questions and, you know, a little bit of a language barrier also between the players. So it makes sense that they want to make sure that everything is clear to both as the play continues.
I really love the Sylvan Dance Beyond. I think I've commentated so many featured matches where Sylvan was just like dead in his tracks, couldn't really play anymore. let's just put 2 plants together, dance
plants
Pion,
together,
summon
yeah.
everything.
We were cheering for Thielemann because, you know, we wanted to see a lot of milling from the deck. We
That's
got
so
it.
much better.
We got it.
Just about the same thing,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah, not really much difference there. Plants, I mean, is this going to be a story where, I don't know, what is it with European events and plants, you know?
When will we learn?
It could be. It could be. Yeah, when do they learn, to be fair?
That is
Yeah.
true. I mean, we know.
Yeah, of
we
course.
know. We know.
Of course. No, but it's definitely a deck that is out there, and it does perform, apparently, at these huge events. When you don't prepare for it, it makes sense. At the same time, though, we might have jinxed it, because we mentioned that the deck can sometimes brick. Instead, it was Unchained that ended up breaking. And I don't know, I feel like the deck, we talked about it a little bit. You are forced to play these many one-offs that you really don't want to draw into.
Like the Sarama that he had to set there.
Exactly. Yeah. So sometimes you do get into this kind of ends. And what can you say? Obviously, you feel bad for Lorenzo. He is still technically in this. So let's see how that goes. The Droneland Lock plus Ash was good enough to stop his opponent from not going crazy on him. But yeah, it's definitely heartbreaking to just set one and pass in top 4.
Yeah, top 4 of a YCS and you're just completely bricked. It's, you know, it is what it is. It's the nature of the game, right? Sometimes you draw the cards, sometimes you don't draw the cards.
That is very wise, Nadir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. But yeah, in general, as mentioned, this matchup feels like it's very much so on whether they can draw their few entrops, because Lorenzo is not on many. We have seen different directions with the Unchained deck, but usually they don't seem to appreciate, you know, a lot of those in the main deck especially.
Yeah, they're on a lot of talents cards, you know, thrust and tactics, and those are really strong to play through fields. It protects you from your opponent's hand traps. This is why also so many players cut the hand traps, you know. This is always like the situation where people are picking up on cards that counter hand traps, then people don't run the hand traps anymore. And this is why combo decks thrive. We have seen so many Manadium decks already this weekend because the players are not really running those Nibiru's and those Lockbirds in the main decks.
Yeah, I suppose that's one of the main advantages of being able to have the foresight to be, okay, well, so many hand traps in the meta, let's cut hand traps, or maybe change up the strategy completely, go for a combo deck. And, well, what can I say? It's working out pretty nicely for Julius here, despite the fact that, you know, he's gone second and he's still managed to, you know, overcome. Admittedly, Lorenzo hasn't opened too well. But regardless, you know, still playing through 2 disruptions is not too
It's
too
definitely
bad.
a tough one, but as mentioned, we went through 9 rounds of Swiss yesterday, followed by 3 and top 64 today. So let's review real quick while we wait for the head judge to arrive, the journey that they had to go through. So let's bring up the bracket for the top cut and see what they had to go through, who they had to defeat to be here at the top 4. So the bracket for top 32, please.
Please, production.
Yeah, give us the bracket. But
no.
first of all, I want to mention something else. Lorenzo has set a monster.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
Okay.
If he did not set the monster to basically defend himself, and if your opponent really combos off, what are you gonna do with the defense monster?
Let him
we have the bracket.
All right, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, let's have a look here. So the
Julius?
European circuit is filled with the talent. What can I say?
Okay.
There's a lot of different amazing players that we've seen make it into this top cut of 2,500 players. I mean, there's people like Tom. I'm not gonna try to pronounce his surname, but he was
Clever.
Okay,
yep.
nice.
No worries.
But yeah, Julius, we are seeing here, I think he's the main star, we can see, of this side of the bracket. He was the one who won it, and what a journey. He had to defeat Samir Bashar, which we had the pleasure of featuring. But then also, I mean, Liang, we said it, he was the last, one of the last Spanish players at the event, and Sebastian Ma, another top contender, the last purely, although you mentioned it, purely Sprite player at the event. So tough one, I guess.
Herman Hansen was also on that side of the bracket as well. Very notable player, world's competitor in his own right. So you know, a couple of good names up here. JCP. And Lorenzo, of course, has been fighting his way through. Yeah,
and it seems like he had quite a different journey. I would say not the same level of names in terms of, you know, past achievements, but he had to face a lot of his fellow Italians, both in top 16 and in top 8, and both of them were actually his teammates, weirdly enough. So.
And of course, we also have Jan Oliver Meyer, who is a Drang Link legend in Germany. And many other players that have not really had that much success in past tournaments. there are some names that I do not really recognize, and I'm looking forward to seeing them in other tournaments.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's how it is. When you have such like this event, 2,580 players registering for an event. Obviously, you're going to have some of those names keeping their success and keeping their spot in the top card, but yeah, it would be weird if we didn't get some new names here and there, and that seems like to be the case, especially here. We do have a few very good players that we have had success. Lorenzo is a national champion. Sofian got close to, you know, winning a tournament this season. But
new stories are to be written, you know, with a new season.
Yep.
A lot of these names, pay attention to them throughout the circuit as we approach YCS Bologna and further beyond after that. We'll see just what happens, especially closing into, it feels like it's a long way away, but well, so many of these players will already be thinking about those Worlds qualifying points. The all-important trip to the World Championship that these players are all looking forward to and grinding towards, because it's an entire year-long process.
And now just think about Cornelius. 14-year-old.
Yes.
14 years old, comes to his first YCS as a non-Dragon Duel player and immediately tops. How crazy is that? Do you think that he will pick up the grind?
You know, I think he should quit now and have a 100% top rate.
Oh,
you can see he's
wow.
never not topped a YCS.
But he could also play well.
True. Yeah. just be good.
Just be like Marcello.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know if I
Well,
would...
retired?
Oh.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. You need...
So this is quite the process. Do we know what's going on here at all?
Yeah,
do we have
absolutely.
An update for the
we
players?
do have an update for you guys. What went happening with the match was that, I mean, as you could tell, both of them had, you know, a pace that was maybe a little under the regular one. So Lorenzo in game one received already a warning for slow play, and the same exact situations now has happened to his opponent. But the thing is, Julius already had a previous warning against Samir in our previous future matches. So in this case, it is procedure to just have the head judge to figure out whether that can be upgraded to a game loss, which in a way would be a shame for him, but that would mean that we go to game 3. But I mean, that's how the rules are, and sometimes it can be. But it's not for sure. There is something that should be reviewed, and whether that happens will be the decision of the head judge, which is not final yet. So once we get a final decision, we'll let you guys know. So I guess we actually can go back to the match. So yeah, absolutely. So I can confirm you guys the final decision has been an additional warning but no upgrade. So we're going back to the match and they can continue.
All right, there we are. So let me cook again a little bit while entering this game. If he didn't set the Sarama, Dryas couldn't have attacked it, couldn't have received damage, and couldn't have gone into the dance peon.
So what you're saying is he should have just passed completely?
Yeah.
All right.
I think if you're playing
Get out
in
of
the
the
future,
kitchen, Leo. Get out of the kitchen.
If you're playing in the future versus Rika and you haven't read any of the cards,
just pass.
Just pass if you can't play.
Yeah.
Don't set a monster.
Noted. Noted.
Okay.
All right, we've got some plays here. Lorenzo has a set card and a Shavara in the hand here, activating to attempt a special summon as we enter his, I suppose, second attempt of trying to play the game here.
Is this going to be a mind game just like game 1? Or is that actually going to be an unchained, you know, trap or something? Because we have the princess, so if that's a bait, I think now Julius might be onto him, you know?
I personally am a fan of just negating this. You do lose your Sylvan monster, but okay, all right, let's see. What did we pop?
Was it a bait? It was.
It was a bait. It hits the talons, but
we've
now
got
we have
the
the
Abominable Soul in the hand here. I don't think we have any cards in hand, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
but
was,
it has a lot of attack points.
It does. It is big. Yeah, true. Not wrong. It will be big enough to threaten the Queen, which can be used to tribute away the Abominable Soul, which does not trigger the Grave effect here. So I think actually what we're doing is deciding whether or not we Princess negate this, but actually choosing to not negate it. It's actually, the thing is, it's not a threat, right? There's no cards in hand. We just have a Shavara. So we just tribute it off with the Queen here, and we only have Shavara left. So, I mean, there isn't really much else you can do here, I guess. Like Shavara Crash Set, maybe? Yeah, I think you definitely want to get rid of the Sylvan Dance Peon in case we get 3 more cards out. But that's a protection effect, of course. The bonus defensive capabilities of sowing in the graveyard.
Be honest, did you know about it?
You know when it kind of glows yellow on Mastodon and then tap curse? Yeah, that just happened there. I knew all along, you know.
Of course. And that's it.
That's
so
a pass from Lorenzo.
Julius now in the driving seat.
I think the hand of Julius, it still looked really bad. He had the DD Crow, he had a Lightning Storm, and the Regulus. And those are not cards that you can play with. So actually, you would have to work with the 2 monsters that you're having.
I mean,
I'm not sure that works.
Is Silver Dance Peon only on Link Summon, I assume?
And what a top deck.
Let's double check if that Dance Peon is on Link Summon, or if it's just once per turn. I want to say it's...
on Summon, right?
Yeah, if this card is Link Summon.
Unfortunately, we won't be able to just E-Telly for 3.
What a top deck it is indeed.
All right, so the bridge of Regulus into Lilyborea, equal levels, different typings, and then bridging over to the Petal, which...
I'm gonna trust him on that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try. I'm not gonna do that calculation there. All right, we're adding Petal here. Petal is the normal summon of the deck, and we can get a search out for another monster. Probably gonna go and attempt to draw out the Madan here. It should be quite formulaic here for Julius. I don't know if he's done a lot of go second OTKs this tournament. Probably been involved a decent amount with Thrasher, etc. But yeah, the only thing that stands between Julius and game here is a Shavara, which is not too much of a threat. It only sets a card, and it sets a card that unfortunately won't be able to be used this turn. So we just have to navigate through a single 2000 body, basically.
Oof, but there is the Concon, and you know, the Concon gives you access to the Glamour. So could get as simple as that.
Yep, you can even tribute away the Shavara, and then you're almost at game already.
Yeah, exactly. So it seems very tough for the Italian to still stay in this, and Rika.
Julius Schwarzkopf is moments away from advancing to the finals of the first YCS of the season of YCS Dortmund. Yep. Rika Glamour is used to tribute Shavara, and now Shavara is going to trigger after the search is being conducted by Julius.
Almost reluctantly does Lorenzo consider activating the effect of Shavara here, but it's a commiseration prize of sorts, as Julius is just going to keep pushing forward with this plant deck. Activating the effect of the Glamour to search out here, gets out the copy of the Princess into the deck, even to negate the Shavara, not even allowing him to get a set card. Although we should definitely be able to navigate through game here as we go and activate the Primula in the hand on the new chain, because a plant was tributed, special summoning itself.
Yeah, it seems like we are just moments away from crowning Julius, the first finalist for YCS.
And there's the scoop here, Lorenzo
packs it up. This teardrop, the Rika Queen, was way too big after all of those plants were tributed. And this is going to be the first German in the finals of the YCS Dortmund.
Yeah, it seems like, as we mentioned at the beginning of day one, you had a 58 percentage.
That is true.
But then, as Top Cut developed, the percentage actually completely plummeted down.
11%.
Yeah. But now there is one guaranteed in the finals, and what a show-off it was from the Rika deck. Also going second, obviously, the break from Lorenzo helped out in game 2. But what can you say? Still, he tried his best. He had a pretty good showing in game 1. But it seems like Rika and Europe just are meant to be together.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the climate over here or something that's in the food and the water that we've been eating, but plants is just the deck in Europe. I mean, gosh, it's how many YCSs and premier events, 2 European Championships, a YCS, and now we're looking at potentially Dortmund here. It's honestly quite incredible how this deck keeps pushing forward. Big fan of it.
I mean, the number of plants is just not growing, even though you said all of those things. Am I a big fan of it? I like control-ish decks. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of big combo decks, but you cannot disregard the plant deck. Rika Sun Avalon is absolutely fantastic in what it does. There's every time at an event where players think, okay, this is an established control format, players bring Rika, nobody can stop their combos, the deck is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and it's as easy as that. I mean, today and this weekend, a lot of players had the intuition that Anthrops were not going to be popular, and for most of them the response was, okay, let's play tier. But it makes sense to me that actually this deck is having success, because this deck potentially does more, and it does is, I mean, I was about to say he can do the combos without relying on milling. To be fair, he did win game 2 with the Sylvan, but that's just a coincidence, we could say.
All right,
anyways,
thank you everyone. This has been the top 4 feature match here. It's actually going to be the last one from me and yourself, Marcello.
Yep.
You'll see us in YCS Bologna. You're going to have Leo,
I'll stick in the
Sebastian.
finals.
Yes, indeed. Ed's going to take over here with a player interview with Julius with this top 4 feature match. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Ed, take it away.
Thanks very much, Nadir, and thank you and Marcello, for all that you've done throughout the coverage this weekend. We'll see you guys in Bologna, and like you said, we'll see Leo in just a moment. But forget about the final for now, because this top 4 was just won by none other than Julius right here, and he has made his way in to said final that I just told you to ignore. Don't ignore it anymore, because that final is now about to come up. Julius, how are you feeling? You're in the final of YCS Dortmund.
Yeah, it feels pretty amazing. I couldn't believe I go so far, but yeah, it worked out.
A humble man. It has worked out for you. Rika, really good representation. A lot, obviously, the last European champion, a Rika deck. And here we go. You might be the first one of this season to top with a Rika. It's very exciting. So, as we go through this game quickly, pretty much, do you want to talk us through it? There was a lot of, pretty much, you just made Lorenzo not able to do anything. That's the basic summary of it. I don't want to keep you too long because we need you to prepare mentally for this final. But do you want to just talk us through what was going through your mind in those games where you were just dominating the field?
Yeah, like game 1, sadly I couldn't open the normal monster, the Lokai, so I had to like play with the Rika cards, and I got ashed on the spell. It's really good ash, but yeah, I still passed on a fine board, and it was enough to beat.
I think game 2, I mean, Lorenzo started clearly quite badly, a set 1 pass, but then there was a Droll and an Ash. But did that affect you too much? Didn't destabilize you?
Yeah, he would have been dead if they both weren't there. Like, if the Ash wasn't there, he would have been dead. But with the droplet play, I just think, do I really just send now the level 8 to make both level 8? At the end, I just think it was more worth, because like you get a tribute and a negate and you remove the body. It was like just more worth, I think.
It was great, some great tactics there, a really great display of what Rika is capable of, and we're going to see just how far you can go with it in this final. We'll give you some time to decompress. Guys, don't go anywhere. That grand final here at YCS Dortmund is coming right